So you want to start getting into rating and reviewing movies? Well, I'm going to talk about how I got started in it. I started in December of 2021, and since then I've vlogged almost 700 movies at this point. So I'm going to tell you how I've been reviewing them, what my criteria has been, have I been using Letterboxd, have I been using a spreadsheet, have I been using something else, what my methodology is, how I keep track of everything, and all that good stuff is coming in this video. My name is Tyler Whitmore. I talk about movies on YouTube and every other social media platform, but on YouTube specifically, every Tuesday and Friday, I'm uploading a brand new video. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, but let's jump right in. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to walk you through exactly what I do for reviewing movies. All right, so here we are. We've jumped into my Letterboxd profile at this point. Now, this is what I would say is the easiest way to get into logging and reviewing movies. If you just want to start with the basics, is that's downloading Letterboxd, but you can keep track of everything you've watched. As you can see, I have 691 films in there since December 2021, which I started. 200 this year. That's fun, right? At the 200 mark for 2023. But Letterboxd lets you rate on a scale of 0 to 5, but you can do it at half-star increments. For me, as you can see in my profile here, I tell you what my rating rubric is. So a 5 star is anything from a 9.5 to 10, 8.5 to 9.4 is 4.5 stars out of 5, and so on and so forth. And the reason I do this is because if you wanted to go to my Letterboxd profile and said, what are Tyler's top 10 movies of all time, which I posted a video on just the other day. So you haven't seen that already, click up there in the link and go watch what my top 10 of all time are. But if you go to films, which is every film I've vlogged, and if you sort by Tyler's average rating, highest first, you would see that my top 10 films would be Argo, The Last Black Man in San Francisco, In the Mood for Love, 2 episodes of Black Mirror, Titanic, Sound of Metal, Old Boy, Apocalypse Now, Memories of Murder, Hangover, and Parasite. Old Boy is in my top 10 of all time, but none of these other ones are. My number 1 of all time is There Will Be Blood, and that's about around, I think 29 here. So as you can see, like the 5-star scale is great because it's basic, it's easy. You can quickly look at a batch and see where overall do I land on these. But I like to be more granular. I like to see exactly where these films stack up, neck and neck, tiebreakers, the lot, see exactly where they're ranked, every single film ever. That's super nitpicky by me. I personally love it. I'm a huge fan of Excel for everything in my life, so I use an Excel spreadsheet that we're about to dive into. But still, I log everything on Letterboxd, and I think if you want to go more granular like I do, have something like this, where if you want to do out of 100 or out of 10 with decimals like I do, have a rating rubric translator so you can see what on Letterboxd and what it necessarily means in terms of what your rating is. So for example, Shaun of the Dead, I gave it an 8.3 out of 10 for 4 stars. And there you can see 8.3 just barely missed the cutoff to being a 4.5 star. So that's the Letterboxd. You can log everything. You can create lists. If you're watching this at this point, I'm just going to assume you know what Letterboxd is, so I don't have to keep the spiel going to you. But Letterboxd has so many cool features. You get to log everything. You see all your stats. You want to get into rating and logging movies. Letterboxd, absolutely, without a doubt, is the place to start. Now, let's dive into the nitty-gritty, to the details. Let's go into my Excel spreadsheet where I can show you where the real magic happens. All right, here we are in my Excel spreadsheet, and as you can see, we have every single film I've ever logged ranked in here, and I'll kind of walk you through my methodology here. So, The Trial of the Chicago 7, for example. So we get the movie name. I go to IMDb is where I go, and I get the drama, history, thriller. Those are all the genres that is listed under. So what I like to do is I pick what the kind of number 1 thing is there. And for The Trial of Chicago 7, I say it's a drama. So that way I can kind of know, okay, what the most accurate genre is going to be. Throw it in there just because it's easier to kind of do a top 10 list. But I like to have all the genres in there as well, just for other filtering and list stuff. And then I grab who the director is, grab what year it was released, grab what year I watched it, and then I give my rating on a scale of 1 to 10, or 0 to 10, is I watch a movie like The Trial of Chicago 7, and I say right after finishing, I don't think about my score or anything, don't look at the spreadsheet or anything, and I just watch it, it ends, I think about it a bit, and I say, that felt like a 4-star movie to me. That was a 4 out of 5 stars. So I start with my quote-unquote Letterboxd score, is what I would put in there, 4-star. But then I go over to this spreadsheet and then I say, okay, let's look at all these 4 stars here. Where do I think it stacks up with everything? And that's where I kind of go in here and get granular. And I say, well, Wonder Woman by Patty Jenkins, which I love. I don't know if people hate on that movie. And The Gift, I kind of landed on like right between there. Like this is so arbitrary. It depends on the day. If I was in a good mood, maybe I'll rate it higher. If I was in a bad mood, maybe I rated it lower. Like it doesn't have to be an exact science. But for me, on that day, I decided The Trial of Chicago 7 fell between Wonder Woman and The Gift for me in terms of where I stack rank the movies. So therefore, it goes there, 8.1. The tiebreaker, I put it at 8. Problem with the Letterboxd is what I showed you is that I have all these 4 stars. How do I differentiate them? Well, I get more granular and I say, okay, it's an 8.1 out of 10 for The Trial of Chicago 7. Now we have 16 8.1s. Okay, well now I got to get a tiebreaker because I still always want to, at the end of the day, get back to the point where I can have every single movie ranked on this list from number 1 at There Will Be Blood all the way down to the last place, which is The Next 365 Days. Now you can see in here I have all these movies already loaded up in my spreadsheet with no rating that I'm planning on watching in the near future. But that's pretty much it. I just wanted to kind of go over how I review and rate movies. I put them in this spreadsheet and I kind of just figure out where do I feel comfortable placing it, where do I have it land, and kind of get a tiebreaker accordingly and figure it out from there. So I really just watch a movie, gut feel tells me about where the stars are. Then I pick a rating on a scale of 1 to 10 that makes it a little more accurate. And then I do a tiebreaker to get the ultimate stack ranking of where it all ends up. One last note. So I kind of showed you how I do my spreadsheet and I showed you how I do my Letterboxd. But in terms of rating movies, how do I go about it? What criteria do I give for a movie I'm watching? And for me, the answer to that question is it depends, and it's changed. Really, I started as trying to be, more objective and look at, how great was the craft behind the film and stuff like 2001: A Space Odyssey was my number one film of all time, which is like a phenomenal movie, but I've dropped it down to a 9.5 at this point because me personally, I started factoring in a lot more just what do I like, because at the end of the day, if every single film critic or film reviewer or anyone who wants to get into this just reviews movies objectively and every single person says, 2001: A Space Odyssey, The Godfather, all these movies are the greatest of all time, nothing's ever been better than them, then what's the point? Why do you even go look at other people's lists? Like, it's just boring. You want someone with personality. You want to feel someone's personality with your top 10, which I know everyone already knows from my top 10 list the other day. You can feel my personality in that. That's a me top 10. And that's what I like about this. I pretty much do probably 50-50. I don't have an exact rubric or score at this point. It's just about 50-50. Like, there's movies that I didn't love that I'll elevate a little bit just because I can really appreciate the craft behind it. And same token, there's movies like Eurovision, The Story of Fire Saga, that I love and adore, but I genuinely can watch it every time and say, this is just not objectively great for a lot of reasons. And I lower it down a little bit from that. There's no right or wrong way to do it. But what matters is you stay consistent. You do whatever's easiest to you. And for me, I would just say start with Letterboxd. But if you want to get deeper than this, do something like an Excel spreadsheet. I've really found no issues with this. I really love the way mine operates. It's going to keep building, keep growing, and I'll be updating it forever, basically at this point. So it's really exciting. I love having this thing. So I will say if you are just wanting to start with Letterboxd, maybe give the Excel spreadsheet a try, because it's something that once you start doing it, you're going to be like, man, I wish I've been doing this forever. But that's kind of my thought process behind how I rate movies, how I go about it in terms of a systematic approach, in terms of my Letterboxd and my movie rankings list. There you have it. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions for me, leave them down in the comments. I try and reply to every single comment. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you with the next video on Tuesday, which I don't know what it'll be yet. It might be my top 10 favorite movies of all time, because that is completely different than this list. Has nothing to do with my rating. It's just about my personal attachment and how much I want to rewatch that. Stay tuned for that. Hit that subscribe button. See you later.